This is Dr. RedPanda.
Before the invention of shampoo, how did ancient people wash their hair? Which regions people in ancient times were the least willing to wash their hair? Could camel urine really be used for washing hair? Hello everyone, I am Dr. RedPanda, and today we are going to explore how people in ancient times washed their hair. Even today, washing hair is still considered a bothersome task. Modern shampoo was invented relatively recently, having been around for just over 100 years. So, how did people wash their hair for thousands of years before the invention of shampoo? Today, I will discuss hair washing methods from prehistoric times to the modern era, and from the west to the east to see how people throughout history cleaned their hair. In prehistoric times, bathing methods were simple and practical. Generally, clean water was enough to remove ordinary dirt, but it was not very effective against stubborn grease. Over time, our ancestors discovered that they could rub mud on their bodies and then rinse it off with water, which would help remove the greasiness. This worked because the alkaline nature of the mud had both oil-attracting and water-attracting properties, allowing the grease to be pulled into the water, the same principle behind modern stain removal. Later, our ancestors discovered an early form of alkali, the ash left after burning plants, commonly known as plant ash. Its main component is potassium carbonate. Despite its dark and unappealing appearance, it has strong cleaning properties. Wig-wearing ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians were fond of bathing and were among the first to discover that mixing plant ash with grease had a cleaning effect, so they used this early form of soap to cleanse their bodies or to make mummies. The wealthy had their own private bathhouses, while others bathed in the Nile River. However, when it came to washing their hair, the ancient Egyptians had their own unique approach. Egypt is a hot and arid place, making long hair difficult to maintain and prone to lice. Additionally, the ancient Egyptians believed that hair was unclean and disrespectful to the gods. For this reason, they shaved off not only their hair but also their beards and other body hair. Both men and women were accustomed to shaving their heads, which was considered both hygienic and easy to manage. But if you look at some murals, you will notice that ancient Egyptians often wore wigs. Wouldn't that seem redundant, especially in such a hot climate? Actually, wigs offered a practical benefit. They provided shade from the sun. Furthermore, wigs were also a symbol of social status. Pharaohs and nobles wore wigs made from real human hair, which were extremely expensive. Common people wore wigs made from plant fibers or animal hair, sometimes styled with braids. The poorest Egyptians, however, simply kept their heads shaved and didn't wear wigs at all. So, how did these many bald-headed Egyptians wash their heads? For them, it was simple. They just rinsed their heads with water. As for the wigs, they were cleaned with citrus juice. The citric acid dissolved any residual scalp oil. After washing, they would use almond oil for conditioning. But the ancient Egyptians had another secret weapon for washing their heads: camel urine. Camels, known as the ships of the desert, are water-conserving experts in arid environments, and both their saliva and urine are thick with a strong grassy odor. However, camel urine had excellent degreasing properties, which is why the ancient Egyptians used it as a shampoo. Perhaps because this was so unpleasant, many ancient Egyptians preferred to shave their heads. This practice continued among the Bedouin nomads of North Africa, whose lives were closely tied to camels. They continued the habit of using camel urine to wash their hair, which helped them cope with lice and, they believed, even prevented baldness, in the harsh desert environment where water was scarce. The permed Assyrian. Next, let's turn our attention to Egypt's neighbor, Asia Minor. Around 1500 BCE, curly hairstyles became fashionable among the Assyrian kings and nobles. To create these styles, they would heat iron rods and use them to curl their hair, a method quite similar to modern-day perming. And how did they wash their hair? Remember, Asia Minor was a center for soap making. With an abundance of wild plants and olives, they would burn the plants to ashes and mix the ash with olive oil, producing a natural soap. This technique has been passed down through the ages, and the soap made this way is still quite expensive today. The olive oil-loving ancient Greeks and Romans. The ancient Greeks, who were fond of physical fitness, were also keen on bathing. However, they did not use soap. Instead, they used mud, volcanic ash, and olive oil to cleanse their bodies, scraping off the oil and dirt with a bronze tool called a strigil. This was particularly useful for athletes and soldiers who perspired heavily. The wealthy could even have slaves perform this service for them. The Romans, for their part, were famously obsessed with bathing. Public baths in ancient Rome were not just for washing. They were also places for socializing, exercising, and networking, with facilities that even provided hot water. In both Greece and Rome, people used olive oil to keep their hair smooth and soft, and they would rinse their hair with vinegar to lighten its color. Creative Chinese traditions. In ancient China, hair was highly valued as it was considered a gift from one's parents. As a result, men often wore their hair long, reaching down to their waists. Given the significance placed on hair, washing and bathing were also important practices. During the pre-Qin period, people used wood ash to wash their hair. Wood ash, which is the residue left after burning wood and plants, contains alkaline substances that can cleanse oil and dirt. However, wood ash couldn't be used directly on the hair. It needed to be purified first to remove impurities that could damage the scalp. When washing hair, the wood ash was mixed with water and filtered before use. This method was simple and widely practiced at the time. Rice water was also used for washing hair. By the Western Zhou period, rice water had become an important part of aristocratic rituals. Aristocrats would heat water for their parents to bathe every 5 days and wash their hair every 3 days with rice water, as this was considered proper etiquette. Today, rice water remains popular, with many people using it to keep their hair soft and shiny. In the past, soap pods were used for washing hair. Soap pods are unique to China. When crushed and mixed with water, they form a sticky liquid. Adding spices and shaping it into a ball creates a natural soap. Although effective at cleaning, the strong smell of soap pods was unpleasant for some, leading them to use the gentler hibiscus instead. Hibiscus produces foam when rubbed and is also effective at cleaning. According to legend, on the Qixi festival, the cowherd and the weaver girl meet on the Magpie Bridge and share their sorrow of separation. The weaver girl's tears falling from the bridge turned into hibiscus flowers. Therefore, it is said that using hibiscus leaves to wash one's hair on Qixi can help single women find love quickly. Medieval Europeans who disliked washing their hair. Both soapberry and hibiscus were used because they contain saponin, which is similar to modern soap. But don't be too quick to think that washing every 3 days is gross. Medieval European nobles didn't wash their hair at all. At the time, people believed that bathing was harmful to both physical and mental health, which led European nobles to avoid bathing, thinking it was the source of disease. Naturally, they didn't wash their hair either. However, in some places, women would mix burnt barley bread with salt and bear fat and apply it to their hair. This could be seen as a form of cleaning agent, albeit a rather unpleasant one. Moreover, during that period, it was fashionable for noblewomen to have elaborate, exaggerated hairstyles. To maintain these styles, they would go months without touching their hair, even sleeping with their heads propped up on wooden supports. Unique Indian hair washing culture. Shifting focus to another ancient civilization, India, which is also known for its rich history and contributions to science, culture, and art. Today, India is often associated with its crowded trains, dramatic motorcycle stunts, and enigmatic yoga masters. However, the word shampoo actually comes from the Indian word shampoo, which originates from Sanskrit and refers to massage and relaxation. Indians are known for their thick hair and rarely suffer from baldness. Is there a secret to their hair care? Indian people follow Hinduism, which is more than just a religion, it's a way of life. This includes the ancient Indian medical system known as Ayurveda, which has been practiced for over 5,000 years. Ayurveda involves 3 main practices: herbal treatments, massage, and yoga. Indians use various herbs to create thick pastes for massaging the scalp, temples, and neck. This practice not only cleanses the hair but also calms the mind. Ayurveda emphasizes the threefold harmony of body, mind, and spirit. In the early 18th century, Britain established colonies in India. A young boy named Dean, who lost his father to the British East India Company at age 11, was adopted by the company. Growing up, he became a surgeon in the East India Company's army. After retiring at 25, he moved to Britain in 1784. Dean was one of the first Indian immigrants to Britain, the first to publish books in English, and the owner of London's first Indian restaurant, introducing British cuisine to spices and Indian curry. The reason Japanese curry is so famous today is thanks to its introduction by the British Navy, and British curry was brought in by Dean. Importantly, Dean opened an authentic Indian massage parlor in Brighton, a coastal city in southern England. He offered Ayurvedic head massage services, known as Shampoo, which included daily scalp massages as part of a health regimen. Dean's family herbal recipes and unique massage techniques could treat various ailments, such as rheumatism and pain, and were very soothing. The introduction of shampoo was a huge success, eventually becoming the English term shampoo. Dean was known as the Brighton Doctor, and even hospitals would send patients to him for treatment. British royalty, including King George IV and William IV, visited him. Other British hairdressers began following his example, boiling soap in water with fragrant herbs. The birth of modern shampoo. Ancient people discovered that certain plants contained natural surfactants. However, it wasn't until the early 20th century, with the rapid development of chemical synthesis technology, that synthetic surfactants were created, enabling the mass production of shampoos. The modern shampoo was invented by a German named Hans Schwarzkopf. In 1903, Schwarzkopf introduced a dry shampoo in his pharmacy, which quickly gained popularity among consumers. From then on, Schwarzkopf focused on developing hair care products. In 1927, he improved the dry shampoo by incorporating liquid chemical ingredients, resulting in a more convenient liquid shampoo. This innovation marked the birth of modern shampoo. And that's a wrap for this episode of the video. I'm Dr. Red Panda. If any of you have your own perspectives, or if you think there are any errors in the video, feel free to leave a comment in the discussion section. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Until next time, take care.